Back to work in a couple weeks here. With me now, Wisconsin Congressman Sean Duffy. And, sir, thank you for your time, for being here today. I mean, taxes, all the distractions here in Washington. It's all circling overhead. I know Paul Ryan's talking about taxes next week. I know the president this week was trying to talk about infrastructure. Do we have a same-page quotient here?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the president and the Congress both understand that tax reform has to get done. And Kevin Brady is spot on. We have to make the tax code simpler or fairer and, reduce our rates to make America competitive in a global economy. And it comes right back to the American people. This is about growing jobs and opportunity and upward mobility for Americans. So you don't get this done. You still see American companies go overseas instead of reversing that and bringing American companies' jobs back to America. So I think we're all on the same page. But I think what's more important, Bill, is that members of Congress, House and Senators, are back in their home districts, and they're getting an earful from Republicans and independents who said, listen, you guys told us you're going to do health care reform. You told us you're going to do tax reform. We're going to be in September, and you guys haven't done anything yet. The urge from the American people when folks are back in August is so great. I think you're going to see a renewed energy and effort when folks come back to Washington to actually get tax reform done. We're going to set health care aside for a second, but taxes are critical.
Yeah. I can't imagine that failure is an option. Otherwise, your job's in jeopardy.
No. Listen, and that's what everyone looks at. Can I get reelected? My boss is my constituents in central northern Wisconsin, or a senator has a whole state. When people are that angry, that really shakes a politician. And it's one thing for a Republican to have the left mad at you, but when you come home and the right is angry at you, the people who have helped you since the very beginning, that really shakes them in their boots, and which is what I think gets them really motivated to get something done. And Bill, we can't forget, this really is about the American people, and Democrats have a role to come and say, listen, we can't have the highest tax code in the industrialized world for our corporations. If we want to be competitive, we have to work together to lower rates across the spectrum. So this is Republicans and Democrats who have to come together. This isn't just a Republican mission, it's an American mission.
Yeah. Kevin Brady's out there in California, and I know he wanted to make a big deal out of that, but it was overshadowed, frankly, by the events here in Washington. I'm curious, what do you think about the events of this past week, and how much of a distraction it could be for your agenda? That you, I know you want to move forward, but can you?
Well, listen, you have the media every hour of every day talking about what happened last weekend. And, I think that's an important conversation to have. And we can look and say, what did the president miss in his statements? What should have he said? What was an appropriate statement? But looking forward, looking to last Saturday doesn't help us grow the economy, doesn't help people pay their mortgages. And Donald Trump was elected because he's imperfect, but he's fighting for middle Americans, the forgotten men and women in America who want a raise, who haven't had a raise in 10 years, who want a better opportunity at a better job, that want border security, that want a stronger military. They voted for Donald Trump for those reasons. And when you get distracted for what's happened over the last 6 days, I think it makes it harder to get people to coalesce behind a mission and an agenda that's going to help those people that put you in office.
Well, you're right about it dominating the news agenda, and there's a reason for that. He took a lot of questions on it this past week and was very forceful in his answers, which again breathed more life into the story. And just yesterday, the president disbanded the business group, the policy group. What is your feeling on whether or not that's helpful or harmful?
But first, if you want to talk about infrastructure, which was a couple days ago, then talk about infrastructure. Don't take the questions about Charlottesville. Talk about infrastructure. Let that be the story. But you're right. So now we've seen the Business Council disintegrate, and people bail, and Trump shut it down. But I think that doesn't affect our ability to get our agenda done. The agenda has always been about the American people. It's not about CEOs. And if you look at the CEOs of America or the CEOs of Wall Street, they supported Hillary Clinton. They're not part of the Trump movement. This is about people like from my district who swung 20 points for Donald Trump and helped him win Wisconsin. It's people at my town hall who go, listen, President Trump's imperfect, and yeah, I see why people are frustrated with him. But man, the things he's talking about, reducing regulation and the Trump agenda is what's going to help my family out. please help support him. You guys got to find a way to come together and get the agenda accomplished, because it's all about my family and my prosperity. So, you know, I don't think the CEOs, that's part of the distraction. I don't think it'll affect the agenda. This is the House and the President and Democrats come together to get the agenda done.
Final question. Are they still with this president?
My constituents? Absolutely. They haven't left him yet. Again, do they get frustrated by some tweets and some statements that are imperfect? Absolutely. But they look at what he's done, support him, no doubt.
Thank you for your time. I'm out of time for now, but I look forward to you coming back, okay? Sean Duffy there in Wisconsin. Thank you, sir, for being here. Shannon, what's next?
Well, the violence in Charlottesville, Virginia, leading